Greetings, adventurers, and welcome back to the Crithalla Podcast. I am your host for this evening, Ol Skipflack, also known as Dan, and I am joined by my lovely and honorable co-hosts here. We'll start with Stavi. Sodop Stavi, what's going on, brother? How are you?
Hey, what's up, Dan? I didn't know I was honorable, man. That's pretty cool.
You are an honorable guest for this particular episode.
Yeah, well, that explains why my robes are clean now.
Yeah, they're nice and clean. Well, you were in a nasty ditch of a place last episode, so...
You mean the place that Mike brought us to?
Yeah, the one that Mike brought us to, right.
Speaking of Mike...
I didn't have the map.
You had the map.
You had the map. You literally had it when we left.
Is that what that was?
Pretty much, yeah. That dusty piece of paper, yeah, that was the map. Sorry.
Oh, all right. My bad. I thought it was one of those mazes from Denny's.
Yes. Cosmic Key, what's going on, brother? How are you?
I'm doing good, and I don't have to lead anyone into wastelands today, so I'm happy.
Fantastic. Yeah. That's nice.
Yeah, I'm actually really happy about that because we're in a really nice place today. Dan, where are we?
Well, yeah, no, we're in a special place today. First of all, welcome back to the Crithalla Podcast. If this is your first time here, welcome. Here we run a show called DMs Discuss, where every episode we discuss a specific Dungeon Master related question. However, this episode is a little bit special. We're doing a little something different today, and which is why we have a bit of a change of scenery for our video version of the podcast that you can find on our YouTube page. We always have a nice little setting for the YouTube video and all that, and today we are in an amphitheater.
Oh, is that where we are? Can we get the lights on in this place, please?
Yeah, let me just cha-ching.
Oh, I cast light. Look at this place.
Wow, yeah. It's so nice. It's so beautiful. Looking around, you can see that all three of us are on a huge big stage. We're actually the hosts this evening, believe it or not. We are.
My robe is a tuxedo.
Boom! Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
We're the hosts for this evening. You look around. There's a big crowd of people, all in beautiful dresses and nice tuxedos and everything. And you see nice red curtains hanging from everywhere. You see William Smith just slapped the shit out of Christopher Rockbottom, which was weird off to the side. I don't really know what that was about. But the reason why we're here is because we are at the Mage Academy Awards.
Woo!
Yes.
This is I belong here.
Yes, it's a beautiful and elegant place. Yes, today we are ranking out of a few different categories our favorite spells.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
We're going to jam some spells down your faces.
And it's going to be glorious.
It's going to be fantastic. We'll have there's a concession table.
Yeah.
We have snacks.
It's really nice.
Ooh, snacks.
I think there's gift bags at the end.
We have done gift bags this year.
Oh, did we?
We got a budget for it.
Do we know what's in the gift bags? I don't even know.
So you know how they make like fool's gold, right? You know how like people think that it's gold, but it's fake gold.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of the same thing, but it's scrying stones.
Oh,
yeah, they're like
wonderful.
little. Yeah, no, they're nice. I made them myself. You can't really see through them. You can say maybe one or two words. They're kind of like those old walkie-talkies from like the 90s that they used like in Home Alone. It's kind of like that. Yeah, they're like really cheap and dinky, but like you could at least say, "Hey." It's actually pre-recorded. You have to pre-record the scrying stones and then you give them to somebody.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's like mystery messages in each one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for your mystery bags.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike, what'd you get in your gift bag? I don't even know.
I got a Flump bobblehead.
Oh, lucky! That's limited edition. Only 5 people got that.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's like a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, dude.
All right, I'm gonna make sure that doesn't leave my site. Let's see. I got a voucher for a free crit cake at the concession stand, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, definitely try the crit cake. It's very good.
Available now at your local general stores.
Did you get that other thing I sent you?
Let me see.
Look at the bottom of the bag. There should be like a little string. Pull the string. There's like a secret compartment down there.
All right, pulling the string. And is that a mimic?
It's a mimic.
Oh God, roll initiative.
Oh man. I always get the mimic.
But I detoothed him. Don't worry. He's just gonna gum you for a while. Yeah,
That's
he
actually
doesn't-
kind of cute.
I don't.
Yeah. That's kind of.
No,
it's
it's
actually
not.
cruel. That's animal cruelty.
Yeah, it is.
I just wake up and feel like wet pressure on my body.
Imagine being a flump.
Yeah. Oof. Big oof. But anyway, yes, we are doing the Mage Academy Awards this evening. We have 5 categories that we've already taken a look at, and we're going to get into it. We're going to pick our favorite spell for each category, and as a bonus, we asked on the Crithalla Facebook page, Crithalla-D&D memes, if you're ever looking for information or updates on us, make sure you check out over there. But we posted a bonus 6th category for all of our followers to join in on the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So, are we ready to get into our very first category?
Yes, we certainly are. Everybody,
I'm
please
ready.
take your seats.
Take your seats, dim the lights.
Dim the lights.
If you had to pee, hold it in.
Yes. Here we are.
And so help me God if I find any goddamn popcorn on that floor.
Oh.
Mm.
I'm going to send the damn beholder that's casting all the beautiful lights after your ass.
I'm literally just gonna make a mimic popcorn box and just send it out into the crowd.
Yeah, go.
Go.
We should have. There should be beholder ushers.
Beholder
going
usher.
up and
With
down
like the little
aisles.
tuxes and the little flashlights.
Yeah, definitely.
That's so cute. I figured
I
they were
hate
like
it.
they were the ones doing the spotlights with their little laser beam eyes.
Oh, with the eyes. Yeah,
Yeah.
the eye stalks. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
So, all right, here is our very first category.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to first talk about our favorite spells of all time. Who wants to start?
I'll go first. You know, considering I'm the wizard, you know.
Yeah,
So.
of course. What is your favorite spell of all time? Who does your award go to?
My nomination, my award for me personally, being from the East Coast of Faerun, you know, we have excellent food out in the East Coast. Okay? Like some of the best you could ever possibly imagine. Okay? So my nomination goes to Create Food and Water.
Oh.
Allow me to read this to you. It is a 3rd level conjuration spell that only takes 1 action. It has a range of 30 feet and its components are vocal and somatic. And you basically create 45 pounds of food and 30 gallons of water on the ground or in containers within range, enough to sustain up to 15 humanoids or 5 steeds for 24 hours. And the water is clean and does not go bad. As somebody who likes to be led and lost in the wilderness by certain individuals who I'm not going to name, looks over at Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look behind me too. Yeah, damn that guy.
I shake my fist. Yeah, the ability to create tons of water and tons of food, especially if you're doing overworld travel in D&D, whether you're the type of party that likes to do hex crawls or point crawls, or especially if you're in like really dangerous environments like jungles or snowy places or mountainous places where like food and water are not readily available, especially if you can't hunt wildlife like in the middle of a tundra. Something like this will literally keep your party alive, and so that's why I nominate it as my favorite spell, because it keeps the party moving.
Solid choice too, because I also feel like a lot of people don't pick a spell like that. But it's extremely useful for long extended, adventures and stuff like that. You're gonna need food, especially if you're not passing by any towns or anything like that to get rations. It's a solid choice. Absolutely.
Especially if you've been dungeon delving
It's also food that you can trust. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I will say that the food is bland, but it is nourishing, and it does spoil if it is uneaten after 24 hours. But again, if I had to choose between starving to death in a dungeon 7 levels down and without rations, or eating bland like bread, like whey bread and water, I'd rather live.
You're gonna take it.
I'm gonna take it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll get some flump jelly and spread it on. You know, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. And how about you guys?
Well, what about you, Mike? What's your favorite spell nomination?
Well, my favorite spell used to be called something different than it's called now. It used to just be called cantrip back in the day. Now, it's prestidigitation,
Ah, yes, the
Ah,
classic. The
love it.
classic.
which definitely goes well with Stavi's choice because you could add flavor to things. So
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be bland bread and water. It could taste in however you want it to taste.
Yeah.
Prestidigitation does that. It creates like sensory
Yep.
stuff, like taste.
Yep, it's been doing that since the beginning, when it used to be called something else. It's one action. It lasts for an hour. You can make harmless sensory effects: shower of sparks, puff of wind, musical notes. You could snuff out candles, torches. You can soil or clean objects, chill, warm, or flavor up to a cubic foot of non-living material. You can color something, make a small mark or symbol appear on an object just when you have to let dwarves know where to go in the Shire.
True.
You
Yes.
can create non-magical trinkets or little illusions in the palm of your hand. You could have 3 of these effects on at a time. They all last for an hour. It's a cantrip, doesn't cost you any slots. For me, it's just for those moments when a caster just wants to seem magical. It's not game breaking. You could just dry yourself off. You're just a little bit more arcane than everybody else.
Fair enough. I really feel like prestidigitation is like one of the most ultimate like role playing spells. You know,
It definitely is.
Yeah, you can definitely get into some crazy shenanigans just by casting something with prestidigitation, you know? There's always something you could do with it. Always.
I had no idea about the flavor though, because like, especially with
Mhm.
create food and water, if you're in a party where you have a bard, a sorcerer, a warlock, wizard, or an artificer who has the ability to cast prestidigitation, and you have somebody who can cast create food and water, you can combine those spells together.
Yeah.
That kind of like party synergy, I feel like doesn't really happen very often.
No, you don't see that.
You don't really see that because a lot of people who are casting spells in D&D tend to do it either to save a friend or to attack an enemy
Mhm.
or to turn the tide of whatever kind of role play or combat situation in their favor. It's never anything like, oh man, this food sucks. Wait, hold on one second. I want to cast prestidigitation on their bland garbage whey bread food so that way it at least tastes good for them.
Yeah.
You know, like that kind of like camaraderie you don't really see very often. That's cool. I never really considered that.
And then even the small illusion that you can do, I think I used it during the war in Dan's game when scouts were describing the moving castle that the enemy was heading towards our town. I had him say it in excruciating detail, and I was building the illusion of the castle to show people what it would look like and to see if we could find weak points.
Well,
Yeah.
it does say that the illusory image can only fit in the palm of your hand.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just something in my hand, and like just like this is what the castle looks like. They have 3 wheels. It's rudimentary, but it's better than nothing.
I imagined it as like old-timey war chessboards. You know how like the best I could think of is like Game of Thrones when they're like figuring out war plans and stuff. They have like the little chess pieces and stuff, and he was like moving
Mhm.
them around. That's how I imagined it in my head. Like you were making this big castle on wheels, and then you had all the little minions all
Yep.
over the place. And prestidigitation does that. It's awesome.
It's good for role playing. It's good for like cinema effects. And nothing's really game breaking. If your DM needs you to be wet because it rained, there's something wrong with that game. Like, if you have to just dry yourself, and he's like, no, my game fell apart, like...
Yeah. No, good. Solid choice. Solid choice.
Yeah,
Really
I dig
good one.
that.
Yeah.
And what about you, Sir Ol?
Well, I mean, I guess mine can go. I mean, you guys can make food and then make it nice. But I mean, maybe I can cook it with my choice. I always felt like as you're going through your character, as you're leveling up, going through these adventures with everyone, you get your classic cantrips, your first level spells, and they do a bit of damage, and you get a small heal or something fun like prestidigitation. But I really feel like you really, as a magic user, you really start feeling like a magic user once you get your first third level spell. Those are really the ones that start making you feel like, oh shit, I'm like pretty powerful now. And out of all the third level spells I could possibly think of, and pretty much all spells ever, I can't think of a better spell to pick as my favorite than the classic Fireball.
Oh no!
I absolutely love Fireball to death. It is one of my favorite
All right,
spells.
that's it. I'm leaving. I'm leaving. Bye.
This
Enjoy the rest of the event, guys.
Yeah, this amphitheater is definitely flammable, dude.
Yeah, 100%. I want to try to help.
I'm taking
cook
my
your food.
my toothless mimic.
Cook
You're
our
gonna
food.
cook us.
Yeah, well,
It's-
I mean,
It's a 20-foot radius sphere, dude. What are we cooking? You can cook like cattle with that.
I know. But yeah, I mean, like I said, like like in my opinion, it's like the first spell to make you feel crazy. It's a 20-foot radius sphere centered on a point, and all you have to do is make a dexterity saving throw, and if they miss it, they take 8d6 fire damage. I mean, that's pretty.
And it goes around walls, right?
Yeah, it goes around walls.
Goes around walls.
It's a pretty significant damage for your first like big level spell. And I don't know, I find it pretty iconic. I have a lot of, I may be a little biased because I have a lot of stories of Fireball from previous games of things going crazy, or it's just a crazy wild spell.
Everyone does.
I was always the tank in my previous game, and it was always a classic question from my spellcaster, like, hey, you cool if you fine if I cast a spell on you? And I'm always like, yeah, let's go, I'll brave it, and I'll just have Fireball raining down on me while all these minions are burning to a crisp. It's a cool scene. So yeah, I definitely pick Fireball.
I've seen a D&D meme where the caster's like, I cast Fireball, and the demon's like, okay, the room is... I didn't ask how big the room was. I cast Fireball.
Yeah, I don't care. Whatever happens, happens.
It is the quintessential Michael Bay spell.
Yeah, exactly.
It is the Michael Bay spell.
Yeah. And I know me and Mike, we actually go back and forth on this all the time. Like the best third level spell, he thinks Lightning Bolt is. I still think Fireball is. Sorry, Mike. That's why he got upset.
I don't think Lightning Bolt is. I know Lightning Bolt is.
Settle down, big guy.
It's a straight line. A straight, controlled line. None of this sneaking around corners, burning people. A straight line.
Fireball is incredibly powerful with its AoE effects. Come on, you can't fight that.
So is Lightning Bolt.
It's a straight
line. AoE is too messy. Too messy.
All right, let's settle
Fight about
this
this all
right
day.
now. I am a 6th level wizard. I will cast Fireball at you, Mike, and then I will cast Lightning Bolt at you, Dan, and we'll
All right.
see what happens.
All right, we're going across the stage right now. Here we go.
Yeah, this is like the Wizarding
Okay.
World kind of duel thing. We need like the raising table that we stand on.
Yeah. Here we go.
I bring my goggles over my eyes.
All right, hang on. Let me just do this.
Dry eyes are the worst. And
Dry
Fireball
eyes,
will
yeah,
give me
dry
eyes
do-
for sure.
do suck.
I hate dry eyes. God.
I'm actually going to use the components. Okay, I need a tiny ball of bat guano and some sulfur, please.
Okay, here you go. Oh, it's in my gift bag. Look at that. Cool.
Oh, good thing I gave everybody components for Fireball in the crowd.
Oh, that's not dangerous at all.
No.
Not at all.
Okay.
Beholder ushers, use your central eye and anti-magic the whole crowd.
Yes, right now. Let's do it this way. Let's just say that we both automatically failed. Okay?
Oh, okay.
And then
yeah,
let's
sure.
see what does more damage.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah, let's see.
Well, since I casted it, I'll do the damage.
Yeah.
8d6?
8d6.
Jesus Christ.
What the hell's lightning bolt? I always forget.
I don't even know what lightning bolt does. I'm gonna
What
bring up
lightning bolt
some
does is a
dice.
better spell. That's what it does.
You know, you say this, but I don't think you know what it means.
I know what it means.
It is 66, correct? For the fireball.
For what?
86.
Fireball?
86.
All right. So I'm rolling 8d6 right now. That is 18.
See? Not bad. For
Not
fireball?
bad.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, fireball, not bad. 18
And that's
points of damage.
that's hitting all the creatures in a 20-foot radius, mind you.
Yes, you just killed the front row.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah, you killed the VIP seating.
That's fine. That's fine. They're okay.
Whatever. They had... Whatever. Who
I'm pretty
cares?
sure we have. I think we have a cleric in the back. I'll get him.
Now, here's the other thing. It's an 8d6 lightning damage.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
In a straight line.
100-foot long line.
Yeah, it's
5 feet
100
wide.
feet. I'm gonna who keeps shining a light in I'm gonna target that guy up there who keeps shining the light on the stage.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I think he failed.
He did.
Good. The light dims.
You're gonna shoot it through the freaking ceiling with 100 feet.
So I rolled 8d6. He took 28 points of damage at
To one
100
guy.
feet away.
Lightning
One
bolt
guy.
wins.
One guy. And then maybe if there was collateral, you know what? We could fight about this all day. But in reality, they're both really good spells. All right.
They are really good spells.
They're both really solid.
Yeah,
Level 3 spells.
they're
Okay.
basically nukes. If you
Okay.
ever wanted to
All right.
end the big bad, you cast Fireball or Lightning Bolt for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Even though Fireball will take him out. But anyway, let's head on to the next category.
Yes, next category.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Lightning bolt.
Okay, so next category. Well, look at this. I pulled out the envelope.
Oh, hello.
Yes. So, wow, this is really nice filigree done on this envelope. Okay, and so this envelope says most OP spell.
Oh, yeah, baby. Most overpowered spell of all time.
Okay, well, how would you fine gentlemen like to kick this off with the most OP spell of Dungeons and Dragons?
Let's see what Mike's got first. What do you got, Mike?
All right, now this is going to be strange considering that I like lightning bolt so much. The
Okay.
most OP spell for me is witch bolt.
Witch Bolt.
Ooh, Witch Bolt is good.
Witch Bolt's very good.
It's good, but just for the simple fact that you do 1d12, which can go up if you do it at a different slot, that you just have to keep concentration, and you just never roll the attack again. They just keep taking damage. It's you just like Palpatine some guy, and you just unlimited power, and it's just you just have to think about it.
Yeah, and it is a first level spell, which is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that is pretty wild. Palpatine. That's a really good analogy. I like that. Yeah, Witch Bolt's crazy, man.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And since it is a first level spell, it has a really high ceiling for spell scaling at like later levels.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You know, because it increases a D12 for every slot above first, which is crazy.
Right.
So like after a certain point, when you're casting third level, when you're able to cast Fireball, you can instead cast Witch Bolt for 3d12.
Which is pretty solid. Like that's
nothing to joke about.
I know.
that's a lot of damage.
That's a lot of damage.
And there's no save. There's no save for it. They have to attack you. And since they have to roll attack, they can crit.
Oh, right. That's true. It's a ranged spell attack.
Oh, that's right.
So
Yep.
you can crit on it. And it does the damage, the damage it first inflicted over and over.
Yeah, so it would be 2d12 for the crit if you crit on the attack.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you don't pump it up, yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. Good pick. Good
Yeah,
pick.
that's a great pick.
I never even thought of that one. That's a great one.
Well, what about you, Sir Ol?
All right, yeah. So, for mine, so we have discussed this spell before in a previous podcast. The reason I thought about this category originally is because we talked about how OP it actually is. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. So my choice for the most overpowered spell is knock.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now,
shots fired.
I probably will get flack for this, which is fine. I understand. A lot of people, going extensively into researching this spell, there's a lot of people that agree that it's not overpowered because of its downside, and also people think it's kind of like, it's not. Let me explain the spell first for those of you who don't know, which I'm sure most of you know because a lot of people use it. You choose an object within range. It could be a door, a box, a chest, a set of manacles, a padlock, or any other object that contains a mundane or magical means that prevents access. That's a big one for me, magical access. A target that is held shut by a mundane lock becomes unlocked, unstuck, or unbarred. If it has multiple locks, only one goes. And if you choose something that has an arcane lock, the spell is suppressed for 10 minutes, letting you freely go in and out. Now, there is the big downside to this spell is when you cast the spell, a loud knock audible from far away as 300 feet emanates from the target object. So a lot of people say, like, yeah, no, everything in, like, if you're in a dungeon, everything's going to hear it and they're going to know your location, which is fair. But this is literally a level 2 spell, and you can just unlock everything.
And it is a verbal.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need components for this.
You don't need components. It just unlocks everything, which I find that pretty wild. Because there's a lot of locked things in Dungeons and Dragons, and to just simply walk up to it and just go knock knock, and it just opens up. I find that so crazy.
You don't even need to walk up, though. It has a range of 60 feet.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can knock from a distance. You could missionary from a long way.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's like absolutely insane. Like, I don't think it should be a second level spell. I really feel like that should be like a 5th level spell, a 6th level spell. But to have that at like level 2, level 3, that's pretty wild.
Yeah. I could make it more powerful.
How's that?
If you cast silence first.
Oh my god.
Because the loud knock emanates from what you knocked on. Silence is in a 20-foot radius and sound can't pass it.
Right.
So if you casted silence on yourself first, then casted knock, no one hears a thing.
That's crazy.
It emanates from the target object that you knocked on. So you would have to cast it on the door or the chest or the lock.
But so you could just cast silence on the target, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're both 2nd level spells, silence and knock. So you could just combo that.
Yeah. It basically makes like thieves' tools and stuff just completely inept. It's like, well, what's the point of having it? I have knock, But again, a lot of people say like, well, you as a DM, you should be able to counteract it, or you shouldn't be upset about it, or like there's things that you can do. Which one of my players has knock. There's things you can do to avoid the spell being used, but that's not really fair either. Because if you have to plan your whole dungeon out of one person's spell, like, that's not really cool,
Yeah.
That's not, so I mean, yeah, you can plan around it and all that, but in reality, like, and the person picked the spell, they like the spell, they want to use the spell, so you got to give it to them every once in a while. It's only fair. But I don't know, that's why I think knock is the most overpowered spell. It's wild.
It's definitely up there. I agree.
Yeah. What about you, Stavi? What do you got?
So I got something that I don't really see a lot of people using, and I feel like they need to because of its utility in combat. My most overpowered spell, it was kind of a tie between two different ones, and I don't want to say the other one because some of you guys may have it already on another list. But my most powerful, most OP, Chromatic Orb. Chromatic Orb is kind of insane. It is a 1st level spell right? It's got a range of 90 feet. It is a ranged attack. So basically, let me just go ahead and read it. You hurl a 4-inch diameter sphere of energy at a creature that you can see within range, so 90 feet. You choose either acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison, or thunder for the type of orb that you create in terms of damage types, and then make a ranged spell attack against that target. If the attack hits, that creature, again, level 1, is taking 3d8 damage of the type that you choose. The reason why I feel like this is the most overpowered one is because, especially in the early game, you generally don't have a lot of hard counters to certain creatures that have invulnerabilities.
Yeah.
Or immunities, even. Like, there are some creatures who are completely... they have resistance or immunity to, like, mundane damages, like slashing and crushing and or bludgeoning and stuff like that. Or they may just have complete immunity to fire, but like weakness to cold, or something like that. This one spell allows you to cover every single possible vulnerability in terms of like elemental damage types, and it's 3d8 at first level. Which increases another 1d8 for every spell spell slot that you scale up. So if you cast it at second level, that's now 4d8 damage, 5d8 damage, 6d8 damage, so on and so forth. Not to mention, if you know the weakness of that creature, I forget exactly what weakness says in terms of damage allocation. I don't remember if it's like double damage.
Yeah, I believe it is double damage if they're vulnerable.
If it's vulnerable, it's double.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you have a fire method or something like that, and you cast cold at like a third level.
Yeah.
You're getting 3, 4, 5 d8,
6
doubled,
D8, right?
68.
Yeah.
Well, third and then second, third level.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so it's 2 additional 1d8.
Yeah.
So
Right.
So you're getting 5d8 versus a creature that is weak to cold, and you're casting cold on it. So whatever you're rolling, you're getting double damage on that creature, and it's a first level spell.
And since it's an attack, you can crit.
You can crit.
Right.
So right off the bat, you can get double damage before even allocating higher spell slots.
Yeah.
So...
And scalable first levels are insane in general. Like, because you got like 8 more levels to pump that shit up once you get, start gaining power.
True. This was very close to not being on my list if it wasn't D8. If it was like 3D4 or 3D6, probably not. But that D8 makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Also, just 3d8 at level 1 is pretty significant.
It is, if you look at the bell curve of probability for how much damage you could actually get out of that.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot, the probability, if you want to get into like the crunchy number side of things.
Yeah.
As opposed to 1d12, which is, you have the same amount of opportunity of getting a 1 damage as you do a 12 damage.
Yeah.
It's all the same probability. With 3d8, though, there is that bell curve, and, you average more damage from the very beginning with this spell.
Yeah, good choice. Like, I didn't even... Yeah, I know. I'd never even thought of that one. That's a great one. That's really great. Yeah, the vulnerabilities. That's insane. Insane.
Yeah, that's my thing.
It's a good
That's
one.
what I would say.
I'm surprised a lot of us didn't pick like the higher level spells, but I feel like higher level spells are like, it's a good reason why.
Oh no, you earned that shit.
Yeah, you do. You definitely do.
You survived. Enjoy the high level spell.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never played a campaign where I was able to cast a 9th level spell slot.
Yeah.
Like I can't cast Wish.
Yeah, it's
or
like
something.
Yeah.
I've done it twice. I was a cleric of Loki. That was like my second character. Played that thing for like 3 years. And I was an illusionist, and I got to 20th level. But he was the character I told you guys about that doesn't like fireball or offensive spells.
Yeah,
so I was all right.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, cool. Yeah, there's your overpowered spells. There you go.
Good choices, guys.
Good choices, for sure. Mike, would you like to introduce the next category?
Okay, let's see. Let me just take this envelope out of my toothless mimic.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, slobber, slobber, slobber. No, wait, the other side. The most versatile spell.
Ah, yes, the most versatile spell.
Yes.
This one will get
Yeah.
interesting. This one will get interesting.
Who wants to field this first?
Well, how about you, Dan?
All right, I'll go first.
Go for it.
Yeah, so versatile spells, right? Like, it's something you can use in many, many different types of situations, and there's a ton of good spells like that. But I'm gonna go a little oddball on this one, and I'm gonna say a Wall of Stone is the most versatile spell.
Oh, I like that.
There's a lot going on with this spell. Let me just read this out real quick, because there's a lot going on with it. So when you cast it, a non-magical wall of solid stone springs into existence, right? It's 6 inches thick, and it is composed of 10 foot by 10 foot panels. So 10 of them, 10 foot by 10 foot. Alternatively, you can make them 10 by 20 feet that are only 3 inches thick. So you can essentially make this giant wall of stone to block things or anything like that. You can also trap creatures. They have to make a dexterity roll if they're going to be trapped. But on a failed save, they are literally just like encased in the wall of stone. You can make it any
carbonite.
shape. Yeah, just like carbonite. Exactly. You can make it into any shape. You can squish. You can squish creatures into it as well. And I think the best part of it is if you maintain whatever structure you create for the duration of the spell, it just becomes a permanent structure that can't be dispelled. So, like, I've seen this spell used. I had a buddy that always casted this spell. You can make bridges, like if you're up against like a cavern, as long as it's not more than 100 feet, you can literally just make a whole wall of stone and just walk across instead of trying to figure out how the hell they get across. You can, again, block enemies, squish enemies with it. You can create entire, like, you can make a whole small town out of just freaking walls of stone. Like, there was even the one RP aspects of it. My one buddy who used to cast it a lot, he got all upset with this one day, and he's like, you know what, screw you guys, and made an entire freaking like wizard's tower out of
that's
wall
awesome.
of stone. And he just casted it, let it go all the way through, and it became a permanent structure, and it became like his wizard tower. Like, there's so many things you can do with Wall of Stone that, like, I absolutely love it. I think it's a great spell, and that's why I pick it to be the most versatile spell.
I love that.
It's a good one. It's definitely a good one.
It's very good. There's like a lot of role play implications too with that spell.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, you could really screw up a DM's plan. I think if something is versatile, it has to, at least to a degree, ruin whatever the DM has planned.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if it's so versatile that the DM didn't even consider you would use it in that way, and it screws up everything, then that's a good spell.
That's a good spell. Exactly.
You can just willfully reshape dungeons.
True.
To make sure, like, no one else finds the treasure before you do. Like, you can just make dead ends, like, all over the fucking place.
Yeah, good point.
True. I even saw once, there was like a cavern with a bunch of enemies at the bottom. It's like 30 feet down, and it was slanted. So, what the players did was they created a wall of stone to kind of like be like a little barrier, and they took boulders, like tons of boulders that were around this little cavern area, and put it up against the wall of stone, and then he uncasted it, and all these boulders just went sliding down, destroying all of the enemies. Like, there's so much you can do with it. It's so cool. It's a great spell.
That's fucking epic. I love that. It kind of reminds me, if you guys have ever played The Elder Scrolls Oblivion,
Oh yeah.
When you're in the beginning of the game in the dungeon and you're getting out of the Imperial City, there's a part in the dungeon where there's like a stack of logs and a bunch of goblins underneath, and if you interact with the logs go rolling down a hill and kill all the goblins, so you don't have to fight them.
Oh hell yeah.
This literally reminds me of that, just with like giant boulders. I love that. That's so cool.
It's great. It really is. What about you, Stavi? What's your pick for the most versatile spell?
Oh man, for the most versatile. So here's the thing, man. Like I have two, and I haven't been able to decide which one I want to choose yet. So I'm gonna roll a dice.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
I'm gonna roll a dice. It's gonna
Absolutely.
be a D6. It's basically
it's hard to pick some of these categories because I have extra ones too for each category because there are really good ones for each category.
I've been Wizards for most of my life. So I have a personal connection to a lot of these spells.
Yeah.
So it was hard. It was like choosing between like children.
Yeah, right. Oh, I get that. Yeah.
So the thing is, I don't think anybody chose the one that I did not roll for. So I would like to use it as an honorable mention after I mention my actual most versatile one, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. The one that I rolled for is one that I have seen in pretty much every single game where we had any sort of magic user, whether it was a bard, a wizard, warlock, or sorcerer. It's been used multiple times in entertainment medium of D&D, like Critical Role, over and over and over again, to great effect. And just generally, people really love this spell. My most versatile is Mage Hand.
Oh, good choice.
And for those of you who don't know, number one, it's a cantrip, so it does not consume any spell slots. It's good for up to 30 feet away. It's verbal and somatic, so you don't have to waste components to cast it. It only lasts for a minute, but essentially you can use your action after you cast it to control the hand. You can use that hand to manipulate objects. You know, you can have them unlock doors or containers. You can have them stow away or even retrieve an item from an open container, or even pour out contents of a vial on the floor, like grease or something that you want to set ablaze or set a trap. The hand can attack, activate magic items, or carry more than 10 pounds. However, the roleplay in this is pretty insane. I have seen situations where the party was locked up for being murder hobos, and one of their spellcasters used Mage Hand while the guard was sleeping to literally Mage Hand the keys off of his belt and break out of prison.
Perfect.
Classic.
Yeah, dude. I have seen people use Mage Hand to steal maps or to steal seals, like those wax seals from people's offices from hanging outside the window. Basically, they casted Mage Hand and stole something from inside and brought it to them.
Yep.
There's just so much that you could do with Mage Hand. Even activating traps you can do with Mage Hand, because it doesn't specify that you can't do it. It just says that you can't carry more than 10 pounds. But if you were to use Mage Hand to press down on a pressure plate or to move through a tripwire, you can activate traps from a distance, so that way your party, doesn't have to roll for dexterity or constitution saving throws, or even roll to disarm them. You could just have your Mage Hand do it all.
Right.
And
exactly.
it's a cantrip, so you could just keep doing it over and over and over again.
Constantly.
Yeah. Or if somebody's giving you the lip, you can cast Mage Hand to bitch slap somebody. So that, oh wait, no, I'm sorry, you can't attack. Sorry, you can't do that. You can give them the finger.
You can
if someone's giving you lip.
Yeah. You can just give them the finger.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier delayed blast fireball. A Mage Hand technically can lift that up and bring it to someone.
Good point. That also is a thing. Yeah. I like the idea of my Mage Hand doing like the Italian, like, come on!
Yeah. Yeah, dude, good choice. I remember I saw,
Great choice.
I'm trying to remember I don't think I was a part. I think I saw it online. There was a whole like group of orcs around a corner, and they were really low level, and they did not want to get into this combat. It was going to be deadly. So if they were in like a bedroom, and the one sorcerer was like, "Oh, watch this." So he casted Mage Hand and took a sheet and put the sheet on top of the mage hand, and then carved 2 tiny little holes to make like eye holes. And he's like,
no.
I'm gonna attempt to scare them like this is a ghost. And he rolled high enough where the orcs actually believed that it was a ghost, and they literally ran away shitless.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
It's so great. Like Mage Hand, you could do so many things with Mage Hand.
I love lower level spells, man.
I know.
I love them.
Because they're low level, so that you know it's hard to like figure out what to do with them. So you really got to be creative with them, you know.
Yeah, and there is a lot of room for creativity with lower level spells, especially something that's a cantrip, because there's really no cost to cast it and to like experiment with different mechanics.
Exactly.
So really briefly, I wanted to mention my runner up for most versatile, because I personally have used this spell a lot. Mending, which is also another cantrip. People, like, here's the thing. Okay, let me pull up my soapbox real quick, and you know, my old wizardy boomer self. Let me tell you something, you young kids. All right, not every spell needs to be offensive. Not every spell needs to be an attack spell. Not everything needs to be something that manipulates a battlefield, dude. It doesn't need to do that. I have had so many instances where, like, a key to a boss room, or like a key to a dungeon, or a map, or a bag, or a wineskin, or something has ripped and torn and got destroyed either through combat or through running away from combat, or we just found it broken. Mending fixes all of that. It can't do magic. You can't restore magic to a particular object. But it can physically repair a magic item.
Right.
It won't return the magic to it, but like if you have a magic sword and that sword breaks, you can technically mend the sword back together and then get it re-enchanted again.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, it's a 1 foot cube, basically. It's 1 foot in any dimension. You can mend it, leaving no trace of the former damage. So, I don't know, something like this, as far as versatility, would be very useful in a lot of situations. That's just my runner-up. I just wanted to mention that one.
Yeah, you can mend a cart that broke. You can mend a sword that broke. You can mend a piece of armor that is broken. There's so many things you can do with mending. So many things.
When you get super high level and you finally get a golem, how do you think that shit gets fixed?
That's true.
It's fixed with mending.
It literally also says repair a magic item or a construct. So golems definitely do count.
Yeah, so if your golem gets destroyed, I've used that in other editions and stuff too. My golem, which I had a stone golem, and he would get messed up. I'm not rebuilding him. That took a long time.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll just mend you, buddy. Get back out there.
Yeah, let's go. Get back into action. Yeah, great. That's a solid runner-up too, honestly.
Yep. That I just wanted to mention that because, like, I want to spread more awareness to anybody who's listening to our podcast that, like, it's okay to choose spells that don't inherently harm enemies.
True.
Get some role play in, dude. Like, get some versatility, get some utility in your tool belt, in your little Batman mage belt. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got to say. Soapbox over. I'm throwing this away into the crowd.
Oh, geez. That definitely just... Oh, man. That definitely just hit William Smith. That's... Oh, you're about to get bitch slapped, bro.
Oh, no. He said, keep my spell out of your mouth.
Yeah. What about you, Mike? What's your most versatile spell?
All right. My most versatile spell is for application and for role-playing purposes. Mm-hmm. It's a little creepy, as per me, but speak with dead.
Oh.
I love this spell when I can cast it. I love role-playing it as a DM. It's not a one-way ticket to learning everything, because the corpse can only tell you what they know. If they didn't see the person who killed them, they didn't see the person who killed them.
Right.
But you get to almost, like, you get to narrate an investigation, because it's an eyewitness. It's not just, oh, you see something on the floor. If you find, and the only restrictions, I think, is you could ask 5 questions. You can only do it every 10 days to the same corpse, and the corpse has to have a mouth, and it can't be undead.
Right.
So other than that, it's you could learn what you need. They could be cryptic, but they have to tell you the truth. But they don't have to be like, yeah, it was the mayor. He poisoned my drink. Like, if they don't know that, they don't know that.
Yeah.
But it helps with RP. It helps with investigating. It lets me as a DM set up creepy scenes, and I get to roleplay a a soul that was ripped from its eternal rest just to answer fucking 5 questions.
Yeah,
And
right.
if they're annoyed at that, or if they're happy at that, maybe this person was a really, really harsh sinner and they appreciate the reprieve from the hell that they were sent to. So maybe they want to talk more and they don't want the spell to end, so they meander and they try to answer the questions in a roundabout way to force you to keep casting or to keep asking. So there's just a lot of different ways to go about it, and I just find it useful, very useful as a player and as a DM. So speak with that for me.
Yeah, solid choice. I mean, just the amount of information you can get out of a deceased creature if they're willing to speak with you. I mean, you know, going into a dungeon, you don't even know what you're getting yourself into. You could see a skeleton on the side, and he'll definitely know. He'll 100% know what's going on in here, you know? So, yeah, that's a solid choice.
One instance I could see of this being like really useful and kind of cool for setting up plot devices is if, like, as a player, your DM leads you to a town that is completely desolate. But as you're exploring the town with your party, you find like bodies on the floor with no discernible cause of death.
Mm-hmm.
You could speak with the dead and find out, like, hey, what happened here? You know, he could start saying that people started getting sick, or maybe you see scorch marks everywhere and he tells you that a dragon came through and burned the place down. And now you know what happened to the town.
Yeah.
Right. So your next quest inherently could be to go track down this dragon potentially.
Right.
And he could describe it. He could answer your questions in such a flowery way. Like, what happened to the town? He could be like, a shadow darkened the sun and fire rained from the clouds. Like, that's just how he remembers it.
Yeah.
And you have to figure that out.
That's
Plus-
super ominous.
Plus
dude.
another thing, they only know the languages they knew in life. So if you don't speak their language, you better get someone to translate.
True.
And you need, it's not like telepathy or other spells where you just know because you're in their brain. No, it only speaks the language. So there's regional issues to deal with. That's where other versatile spells come in, like comprehend language, tongue, stuff like that. Like all the utility spells usually work together to actually get the job done. It's a very group effort with these spells. It's not just below your load, everyone's dead.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's just an awesome spell, and I like being creepy in my games, and it's a really interesting way to add a horror element, like to show what it would sound like a body that doesn't have lungs or even a chest cavity anymore. Like, what does it sound like when it's taking in air to speak? Or is it doing that at all? Does it have a tongue? Like, does the jaw keep dislocating when it's speaking and you got to put the jaw back on? Like, little things like that make for an interesting, like, interrogation.
It could also be useful, like, if your players are in a dungeon and you set them up with, like, a puzzle that they have to figure out in order to progress further in the dungeon and they just can't figure it out. This could be a really interesting in-game way for the DM to sort of give them hints or give them an answer without flat out, like, metagaming.
Yeah.
You could have the corpse say, you know, like, maybe there's a bunch of stones with, like, different animals carved into it, like a snake, a rooster, a spider, or something. And the corpse can say, you know, something about venom, one venom being more poisonous than the other, or something like that. And, you know, you could just add a riddle to the riddle, and then they'd be like, oh, that makes sense. And then they push the thing, and then they progress, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Speak with Dead is really cool. I really dig this one.
Yeah. Solid choice.
Hell
Really
yeah.
Solid choice. Yeah. All right, cool. All right, and it's time for our next category then. I think I will bring out the nominations for this one. We are going to be discussing the most iconic spell in Dungeons and Dragons. Something that when you think Dungeons and Dragons, you think this spell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, who wants to go first on this one?
I'll go.
Okay.
I had to think about it for a second. All right. So again, this is one of those things where like I had three, but I'm sure somebody might mention it again. Because it's okay to mention the same spell for multiple categories, right? Like that's fine. They don't have to be different spells for different categories.
No.
For me, again, it's kind of a toss-up, so I'm gonna roll a d6.
Go.
Yeah, man. So 1 through 3, it's the first one, and 4, 5, 6 is the other. So I'm basically rolling a d2. Rolled a 4. So yeah, we're gonna go with this one because this one's a big deal.
Let's go.
Say hello to Cure Wounds.
Oh
Yeah, everybody knows this one. It's a first level spell. It's a ranged touch, and it heals, man. A creature you touch regains the number of hit points equals to 1d8 plus your spell casting ability modifier. The spell has no effect on undead or constructs. I think this doesn't really need any explanation. We know what Cure Wounds is.
Yeah.
We know that like if a player is down to 0 and they're making their death saves and you cast Cure Wounds on them, they automatically succeed. It's in a lot of cases, right? Especially in lower D&D play, healing potions are expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Very expensive, to the point where like you'd be lucky if you find them in a dungeon or just laying around, because they're like what, 20 gold or something like that.
I think they're 50 gold.
Are they 50 gold? Yeah, like that's actually insane how expensive healing potions are in D&D, which makes sense. A lot of work goes into making them, and anybody can use it, whereas Cure Wounds is primarily just for divine magic casters,
right?
And rangers, I guess. But yeah, Cure Wounds, man. Your only real means of healing yourself.
Yeah, it's like the first way of being able to lift your characters up from near death experiences.
Yeah, and at level 1, like you literally get a single or sometimes 2 first level spell slots depending on the class. Mm-hmm. You definitely want to slot Cure Wounds in there, especially anywhere you can, because not everybody's going to be able to just heal themselves instantaneously.
Everybody forgets how important the healer is. The healer is very freaking important.
Yep, it really is, man. A lot of people play.
Also, when you're
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and also if you're a paladin or a cleric, it really makes you feel divine.
Yeah.
Just bringing someone back from the brink of death.
Yeah. And
being like, it's not your time, fight on. Like, it really makes you feel like, hey, my god likes me.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. But that's probably going to be my most iconic, only because I'd argue from the very beginning of Dungeons and Dragons to now, this spell may have been the most casted spell across all campaigns.
I could definitely see that.
Like,
honestly,
I could see that for sure.
And then I have a second one, which I don't want to dabble too much into, but is it all right if I mention it?
Yeah, go for it.
Detect magic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a Dungeons and Dragons staple.
Right.
Almost.
So those two alone, like I don't have to get into detect magic. I mean, it says what it says on the box.
You detect magic. Yeah.
You detect magic. It's either a ritual or it's it's a concentration spell. You could cast it as a ritual though, so you don't have to waste a spell slot, which is kind of cool. But yeah, you detect magic.
Yeah.
Those two spells, I think, have exclusively been used since Moldvay Cook, basic and expert D&D, and continue to be used today. So those are going to be the ones that I mention. Cure Wounds number 1, detect magic a runner up.
Good choice, man. Good choices, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Great
Sorry,
choices.
I keep it's hard.
Super
to
good
choose
choices.
just one.
I know.
It's so goddamn hard.
Well, it's like for mine. I'll do mine. I was gonna do Wish. I was so big on Wish. And then I was thinking about it. I had a conversation with someone yesterday about a specific spell, and after doing a little research on it to see actually how iconic it really was, I decided to pick Magic Missile as my iconic spell.
Yep.
Yes, dude.
I mean, it is like that first spell that every little wizard boy has in his arsenal.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's you see it everywhere. In pop culture, so many things have been created because of that spell.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was based on something else from back in the day, but like a lot of people see Magic Missile as like that's a D&D spell, you know. Doing research on it, I mean, it was something that was in Greyhawk, you know, the 1975,
79.
Greyhawk? 79. I mean, it's been in these books for eons. It's an unavoidable spell, which I've always loved. It's something that you know, no armor is gonna stop this one. It's coming in and it's gonna hit you. And it's actually funny that they actually created the spell Shield specifically to stop magic missile attacks, because as I said, magic missile is unavoidable, but Shield, the spell, has a little flavor text that says can stop magical missile attack damage. So it actually created a spell, which is pretty iconic. And I don't know, I just feel like it's been in every single game. It's a staple in the game. And every time you see Magic Missile, it's like, hell yeah, roll them D4s, boy. You know what I mean? It's just, it's
D4
a cool spell.
+1. Okay.
+1, right?
That's great.
Yeah, definitely, in my opinion, like the most iconic spell, for sure.
I remember my first magic missiles.
Yeah, the good old days, right?
Yeah.
when you were casting little pew pews, and now you're casting big boys.
Yeah.
never forget your roots, bro.
I do kind of wish that they had a more upgraded version of Magic Missile. Like, instead of like Magic Missile, why not have like Magic Nuke? Or
Magic
like,
Nuke.
I guess that's a fireball, but
yeah.
Or a thunder. What is it? Thunderbolt? Lightning bolt? Lightning
Yeah.
bolt. Yeah.
Thank you.
I had to give credit where credit's due. You did 28 damage to, or I did 28 damage to that guy with the light up there. So,
That's why it's better.
yeah, man, Magic Missile is awesome. I love Magic Missile. What about you, Mike? What is your most iconic spells? Spell or spells?
One of my favorite schools of magic has always been illusion. It's like my number one.
Illusion's
So a
fun.
spell that's been around for ages, which when I think of D&D, I think of this spell is Phantasmal Killer.
Phantasmal Killer.
Yes. It's 4th level, so it's not super cheap. You have to get pretty, like, not super high, but, you know, get some levels for it. And I'll just read the text, because it's awesome.
Yeah, go
You
for
tap into the nightmares of a creature you can see within range and create an illusionary manifestation of its deepest fears, visible only to that creature. So it could be a monster, it could be anything, like an abusive relative that time, a snapping turtle almost bit his junk off, whatever. Whatever scares this person the most, they make a wisdom save. If they fail, they become frightened. And each turn, they take damage unless they make the save. Once they make the save, the spell ends. They conquered their fear. But they take 4d10 psychic damage every time they fail their save for up to a minute with my concentration.
Wow, that's
So you
solid.
literally scare someone to death if they die from it, because it's all
Holy
just
crap.
psychic damage.
I love
And-
that.
And it's scalable.
Oh shit.
But it scales from 4th spell level.
From 4th, yes.
Yeah, not 4th player level, but 4th spell level.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
4th
yeah.
spell level. So basically, you just say something creepy like, oh, I know what frightens you. I remember when you were a child, do you? And then you just summon something that scares. It's only verbal and somatic. So you just do a hand gesture and say something creepy, and they see it, and they could die from it. And they're the only ones that see it.
That is crazy. I don't think I've ever seen anybody use that spell before, to be honest with you. That's an insane spell. I love that.
You just whisper gabagool.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Oh
they're
no,
like,
my
"No!"
diet.
No, please. Please,
My
the carbs.
The carbs, no, dude.
I love that. It's like a terrifying fear. And you're right. It scares them so much, it scares them to death.
4d10 is nothing to scoff at, though.
No.
And yeah, like that's disgusting. Like
Yeah.
40 points
Now,
of damage potentially.
I have an honorable mention, if I may, that's linked to Phantasmal Killer.
Go for it.
And it's a 9th level spell called Weird.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
The
it's
ultimate
basically
fear.
Phantasmal Killer, but for a group of creatures.
Yeah.
And it's a 9th level spell called Weird. And each creature in a 30-foot sphere centered on a point of your choice basically suffers from Phantasmal Killer.
Yeah, it's a big AoE fear. It is such an underrated 9th level spell. It is so good.
So, yeah. So it has a good companion spell once you get high enough to cast 9th level, and you could do that to a group.
Even if you don't kill them, the ability to fear an entire group of people or targets is a huge deal because, again, the wording for frighten as a status condition is that they cannot willingly move closer to the source of its fear.
Yeah.
So if you have like
Mm-hmm.
a whole group of things charging at you and you cast this, they run in the other direction. Even if they don't die, that saves your party a lot of valuable time. And wait, you can't move the sphere though, right?
No, you just basically cast it. Yeah, and then it chases them around. Like wherever they go, they see it.
I see. Okay.
So they could leave that radius
Interesting. Yeah, that's actually kind of gross.
because it's all just in their head.
It's awesome.
Imagine casting this like on the throne of the king's like chambers.
Yeah, right?
Like around his royal guard and the king and the queen or whatever. You just cast Weird right on the throne.
Yeah, right?
Oh man. 9th level though, that's a big commitment.
Yeah.
That's
Definitely.
huge.
Yep.
Man, these spells are awesome. I need to read more higher level spells.
Dude, higher level that's why I said I was gonna pick Wish. And it probably is probably one of the most iconic spells of all time. But there's so many other good ones too, you know? There's so many things you think of when you think of the most iconic spell. I mean, Fireball and all that, but these were good picks. I think these are picks a lot of people weren't expecting. So, that was solid. Good choices, guys. Good choices.
Hell yeah.
We have one final category
to
go through.
And
Yes.
wait, hang on.
Do you have it?
Oh, yep, here it is.
Okay.
It was under my robes, so it's a little
Ew.
sweaty.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't want to see what's under them robes. I don't know. I'm a little scared.
Me too. I haven't actually looked under these robes in a long time. Anyway, so here.
Oh no.
All right. Next category is the most underrated. The most underrated spell or spells
Oh.
of Dungeons and Dragons. Who would like to go first?
Mike, you want to go first?
I'll go first.
Go for it.
For me, one of my second favorite schools of magic is Conjuration. And one of my most underrated spells is Find Familiar.
Oh.
It's super useful. It's very iconic in just wizard mythology to have a familiar of some sort. It does a lot. You can see through its eyes, hear through its ears. You could communicate through it via telepathy. You could dismiss it if it's in danger and just bring it back. What I like is that you can cast your range of touch spells through your familiar within 100 feet.
Yeah.
So your
Jesus.
range touch spells basically get range of 100 feet. So if you're one of those casters that has Cure Wounds, and you somehow are able to cast Find Familiar via through like a feat or maybe a bard or something, you can now cast Cure Wounds 100 feet away. Your familiar just rubs up against the enemy. I mean, not the enemy, the ally, and you cast Cure Wounds through your familiar onto them.
Yeah, that's the classic combo.
Yeah, it just really heightens. Like in Dan's game, I was using it to sneak attack Shocking Grasp on people.
Yeah.
My cat familiar was just sneaking behind people, and they were looking at me, and I just casted Shocking Grasp, and they got shocked from behind.
Yeah. You were
Huh.
using that on the big
And they
bad,
just their
actually.
eyes were just focused on me. Yeah. So
Wow.
I think it's underrated. Having a familiar is great. There's role playing elements to that as well, which I appreciate. It's built in.
Absolutely.
The DM and you can discuss the personality of the familiar. It talks to you. You can talk to it via telepathy. So it's basically a built-in friend. And this edition of Find Familiar is way better than it used to be. Because in second edition, if your familiar died, you lost Constitution, and you could actually wind up dying.
Oh, shit.
So I always thought that was a little extreme.
A little bit, I
But
think.
yeah. Um, yeah. So Find Familiar for me. Every day, all day.
Yeah, I don't think I ever saw anybody use Find Familiar until we started playing, honestly. That's definitely an underrated spell for sure. And that combo, the touch spell combo, I saw that like 2 or 3 years ago on a Reddit post, and I was like, "Whoa, that is like mad powerful." I'm surprised, like I've never heard of that before. It's a good combo.
And like a companion to that spell is the Paladin's Find Steed spell, which is very similar, but for Paladins. But that's really good too. It's basically really similar, but you get a mount instead.
Yeah, which
And
that's super helpful too.
with Xanathar's, I think they added like an improved Find Steed. Yeah, so you can get like a lion or like a griffin or a Pegasus,
Oh
like
shit!
once you get high
What?
enough level, and that could be
That's
your
so
mount. So
cool.
it's just role playing and cool cinematic scenes built in. Yeah, it's not gonna hyper break anything because it is just a mount. It's just a flying horse. Like
Yeah,
it's not, it's not breathing fire and it's not like I summon a chimera. That's not gonna happen. But I don't know. It's just cool. I like having companions. I like having like allies like that are mine that are like built into my story and my narrative, and it's fun to play and it's fun to DM for.
yeah. No, absolutely solid choice. Really, everyone should be thinking about Find Familiar. That's a good spell. What about you, Stavi? What is your most underrated spell that you could think of?
I was actually just concentrating for a moment there, thinking about the deep lore of all of the spells from these books that I have acquired from the library the last few episodes ago.
Right.
And going through all of this lore, I found one book in particular is it's very mossy. This book, it smells like old oak. Smells like grass.
Huh. Strange.
Yeah. This appears to be like some sort of druid scripture.
Oh.
And spending some time looking over the words and sigils and different iconographies that you can see within this, I have found a spell that I cannot master myself because it is only for druids. But it is, in my opinion, the most underrated shillelagh.
Oh yeah, dude.
Shillelagh is an insane,
Nice.
insane first level spell. For those of you who don't know and probably don't really pay too much mind to this spell because you'd rather have other things like ensnaring traps or something that does like ranged spell damage, again, consider the words. It is a cantrip. It is a bonus action. Basically, the wood of a club or a quarterstaff that you are holding is imbued with nature's power. For the duration, which is 1 minute, you can use your spell casting ability instead of strength for the attack and damage rolls of melee attacks that use that weapon. And the weapon's damage die becomes a D8. So if your spell casting ability, I think for druids, is it wisdom?
Usually, yeah.
I think it's
Yeah,
wisdom. So if you have a +3 in wisdom or a +4 or something like really crazy like that, you're getting +3, +4 to your melee attack, and you're getting 1d8 +3, +4 for the damage. Here's the cool thing: if the weapon, the weapon also becomes magical, if it isn't already, and that's where the big deal comes in, because there are creatures, again, at level 1 that have immunity to mundane damage. Bludgeoning, slashing, piercing, whatever. Unless it's magic. You know, like if you're fighting like certain types of ghosts, for example, is a really good example of that, because ghosts have all types of immunities. Certain undead have a lot of immunities. But if you cast Shillelagh as a cantrip, as a bonus action, you can be theoretically the only person in your party able to deal out damage to a lot of different monster types from a very early level. After a certain point, this spell admittedly does have diminishing returns, because you will have more powerful methods of attack. But for the majority of the early game, especially considering you don't actually get second and third level spell slots until, I think, player level 3, not spell level 3. Or class level 3 or whatever. So there is a large gap of time where your party could theoretically be super vulnerable to a lot of different monster types that you can pick the slack up for, basically for free, as a cantrip and as a bonus action. And also deal out more damage. So I think Shillelagh is easily one of the most underrated spells in all of D&D.
Yeah, I definitely just the making your weapon magical alone would be a good enough spell to actually just be itself. Like, that is extremely important. It's especially at a low level. You know, you're not getting magical weapons at like 1, 2, 3, you know, even 4, you know, and in some campaigns, people are really, really stingy. DMs are really stingy about magical items. So having that in the background for situations like that, super helpful. Super, super helpful.
And you can't go wrong with the story element. Yeah, you can't go wrong with the story element of, like, the wiser I am, the harder I can hit you with my club.
True.
Yeah.
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 Good choice.
I really think it's cool. I really do think it's a cool spell. It's a shame that only druids can.
Oh, great choice.
Can cast from it, unless I don't know if there's like a feat or some kind of other thing with 5th edition, especially in the newer like compendiums and stuff that have come out. If there's any sort of method or rule that allows you to tap into other classes spells, theoretically you could just multi-class as a level 1 druid and get Shillelagh. You know, you could you could just do it just for the Shillelagh,
right?
If you wanted to. But yeah, that's my choice. That's my pick.
Yeah, dude, solid choice. That's
Thank
a
you.
really good one.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
What about you guys? What is your most underrated D&D spell?
Well, so for me, I had a bit of a hard time with this one. I was trying to figure out like what spells do I never really see, or things like that. And I kind of scoured a little bit through the internet, and I picked one that personally I have never seen used. I actually, me and Stavi actually talked about this before. You've seen it used once, but rope trick is the one I decided to pick.
Oh, rope trick is cool.
Good spell.
I really feel like this is a super underrated spell for... It kind of almost dials into the most versatile as well, because this is a really versatile spell for multiple reasons. Let me read. Let me read it off to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you touch the length of a rope that is no more than 60 feet long. At one end of the rope rises into the air until the whole rope hangs perpendicular to the ground. At the upper end of the rope, an invisible entrance opens up to an extra-dimensional space that lasts until the spell ends. You can go up to the extra-dimensional space by climbing the rope. The space can hold up to 8 medium or smaller creatures, which is wild. The rope can be pulled into the space, making the rope disappear from view outside of the space. Attacks and spells can't cross through the entrance into or out of the extra dimensional space, but those inside can see out of it as if a 3 by 5 foot window centered on the rope. Insane. I again, personally, I just have never seen this spell before. And when I saw it, I was like, this is like super versatile. Like between combat aspects, if you're in a situation where it's like, we got to get the hell out of here, you just cast this bad boy, you run up this rope and hide. I think it's an awesome spell for when you're camping at night. Instead of setting up a campground and like making all this noise and having the blaze of the fire, you can just make your little extra dimensional pocket up in a tree or something and just hide out in the tree. Like that's a freaking cool spell. I never even knew existed until we started figuring out what to do for this category. So yeah, rope.
It's like a portable treehouse.
It literally is like a portable treehouse.
I will say that the duration only lasts an hour, though, so you would not be able to get a full night's rest.
Oh, true.
It is only an hour.
Yeah, right.
But you do get like your own little secret dimension door.
You do. It's like, wow. Like, how cool is that? I don't know. It's just, again, I never saw it, and to see it, I was like, wow, this, like, I want to use that. Like, for my next spellcaster, I want to use that for sure.
And you mentioned before that some of us may have seen it before, and I have. And I just want to let people be aware, because I've mentioned this in other podcasts before. There are a lot of different communities and a lot of different groups who are playing D&D that you could watch their games. You know, of course there is Critical Role. Of course is the official D&D, like Dice After Dark or whatever it's called. But one of my favorites is Acquisitions Incorporated through the PAX, PAX East, PAX West. And there was one particular session that they did where I think it was Patrick Rothfuss was their guest. And they were recreating the cover art, if you want to pop it up in the screen right here, of the Player's Handbook from Advanced D&D First Edition. And so if you can find this, first off, if you're a D&D fan, you should watch this in general, because they are just so good, and the sets that they make are so good, like the miniature sets for Acquisitions Incorporated. But there is a part in that session where the character Jim Darkmagic, who funny enough has become so popular that they put him as a character in official D&D. If you look, there is Jim's Magic Missile. If you look on D&D Beyond, it is a real spell, and it's based off of Jim Darkmagic from the Penny Arcade Expo guys.
That's sick.
And he also has Jim's Glowing Coin. That he has like 2 different spells. But anyway, there's a part where things are looking really bad, just like you mentioned, Dan, where he dimension doors, he does the rope trick, and he's like, I'm just going to climb up in my little rope hole. I'm staying up here. I'm not
rope hole.
This is all bad. I'm not, no, I'm going in my hole. I'm going in my hole and I'm not coming down. So yeah, if you want to see like a live example of somebody using this spell and like how versatile it is and how underrated it can be in certain situations, check out that video for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could fit 8 medium-sized characters or creatures into this thing. Like that's a big ass space.
Do you know how many cannolis that is?
Yeah, how many mimic gift bags I could fit in this damn thing?
True. Oh man, that's great.
All right, cool. Yeah, so those were our 5 categories. That was pretty cool. I had a lot of fun with that.
There's a lot of spells out there, man.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of spells out there, and I hope every spell enjoyed their award. You will also be receiving a gift bag.
Mm-hmm.
So look under your seat for that when you get a chance. Winners, congratulations.
Congratulations.
However, we also have one more bonus category. We like I previously mentioned, we went over to the Facebook page, Crithalla, and we asked a specific question for this category. I don't know why I didn't pull this up before while talking about
there's
it.
There's the category.
I forget what question I asked. Hold on. It's taking forever to load.
It's because I shot the guy with lightning bolt.
Most fun spell?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we asked on the Facebook page, out of all of the spells in Dungeons and Dragons, which one is the most fun to use?
Ooh.
And we asked you guys to answer, and we have some pretty interesting ones here. So let's go through a few of them. We'll start with on the most recent one. We have Eddie, who said, "I've always felt that you get the most fun out of magic when you also make it practical. Like using Wall of Stone to essentially construct your own mage tower." Okay, so my buddy that I was speaking about before with the Wall of Stone, making the big tower, yeah, this is him.
He knew.
So, yeah.
Nice.
Who would have thought? But yeah, Wall of Stone, again, a great spell, a solid spell. So many things you could do with it, and that's why it would definitely make it fun. Just so many things you could do with it, you know? So yeah, we'll go into the next one here. Alicia, I believe that's how you say it. They say Shocking Grasp.
Ooh, love that spell.
Yeah, it's a great one. Every time I play with Artificer, I take Shocking Grasp. You can break the game easily with that. Yeah, Shocking Grasp is a great spell. It's literally like just taking them and going, electrify.
And if they're wearing like plate armor or any sort of like metallic anything on them, you get advantage on the melee attack roll.
Yeah.
So like it's kind of gross, and they can't take reactions until the start of their next turn.
Yeah.
That's huge. You can absolutely break the game with Shock and Grasp at an early level.
Mm-hmm.
I'm shocked how good that spell is.
Oh!
Hey!
Yeah, it's solid. And again, cantrip. Free spell.
Yeah, free spell.
Yep.
Solid. Good spell. Solid spell. All right. Next one we have from Courtney. She says, Melf Acid Arrow, hands down. And why? Because acid and arrows, baby. Yeah. I mean,
True.
Melf's Acid Arrow is that's a solid spell.
I never even heard of Melf's Acid Arrow, but apparently it's from the player's handbook.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Does nice lingering effects.
Yeah. It's like a first level magic missile with acid attached to it, essentially. You know, it's on a hit, it's a 4d4 acid damage. With an extra 2d4 acid damage at the end of that creature's next turn. So it's basically a dot. It's an acid magic missile, essentially. With a dot.
Acid missile.
Acid missile. Yeah. Poison those boys up.
Well, that's pretty cool. It also says here, according to this tome, that on a miss, the arrow will splash the target with acid for half as much of the initial damage, but then no damage at the end of its next turn, no lingering damage. So, like, even if it misses, they're still taking damage.
Yeah.
Like, that's great.
It's solid. Like, no matter what, even if you miss, you're still doing damage.
Right.
Yeah, someone's gonna burn.
Yeah, exactly.
Good
Good choice.
I like that one. That one's fun. Who the hell is Melf?
Who is Melf?
Who the hell is Melf? Was that the guy I shot up there with the light?
Oh, no.
Oh my god, what have I done?
How is Courtney ever going to get her acid arrows now?
No more spells from him.
No more spells for him.
Melf, also known as Prince Brightflame, is a gray elven archmage and originally played by somebody in Gary Gax's family, Lucian Paul Gygax.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so it's part of Gygax's Greyhawk campaign. It was an archmage that was played by one of his family members.
Lucian Gygax sounds like a D&D character already.
It does.
It really does.
Lucian. That's good.
Very cool.
All right, next up we have Jose. He says, Prestidigitation. For the small bits of flair you can add to things. It's so versatile. Yes, like we described before, prestidigitation.
There you go.
Absolutely. There's a lot of fun to do with that bad boy.
There really is. Honestly, I want to have like a game where everybody is a magic user and everybody is forced to take a different like utility cantrip.
Yeah.
Just to see how that goes, just to see how they utilize, like give them no offensive spells.
Just straight up utility.
Just straight up utility and let them roleplay their way out of situations.
That would be super fun. You're right.
Campy and super fun. Yep.
Good choice, Jose.
Yeah, Jose.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, great choice.
Next one we have Chris. He says from 2nd edition, Creeping Doom. And from 5th, Call Lightning. Call Lightning is a great one. I don't know Creeping Doom though. Do you know what it is, Mike?
I think it's a necrotic spell.
Well, no, actually, I have it right here. Creeping Doom was a conjuration spell that called into being a carpet of insects that attacked selected targets.
Oh, yeah.
So, early versions of this spell summoned anywhere from 500 to 1,000 poisonous spiders, scorpions, beetles, and centipedes that swarmed over a 20-foot square area. Holy crap.
Oh my god.
Each of which could be commanded independently. Good God, that's insane.
Yeah, it's just nightmare fuel.
That is nightmare fuel.
Wow.
That's terrifying.
Anyone in the group afraid of spiders? Well, here you go.
Check this out.
Well, what makes that really scary, if the rules still applied from old school D&D, it says that they're poisonous, which means that if you attack somebody with this and they fail their poison save, they die. Just straight up die. I could be wrong, but there was a thing back in the day where it was save versus poison, and if you failed, your character literally died. So,
yep.
I wonder if this was the case.
That was definitely one of those saves from back then.
Oh, geez. That's awesome.
Wow.
I want that
Solid
back.
Choice.
I'm going to bring that back to 5th edition.
Yeah, Call Lightning's solid too.
Go ahead and read that.
Yeah, storm cloud appears in the shape of a cylinder that is 10 feet tall and has a 60-foot radius. When you cast a spell, choose a point you can see under the cloud. A bolt of lightning flashes down from the cloud to that point. Each creature within 5 feet must make a dexterity saving throw or take 3d10 lightning damage. Yeah, it 3d10 lightning damage. It's solid. Like it's just solid spell.
And I think is that the one where you could keep doing it. It stays on.
Yeah, concentration up to 10 minutes.
Yep, on each of your turns, you can just use your action to call down more lightning.
Yeah,
just all over the place within that 60-foot radius.
And I really like the flare text of this. If you are outdoors in stormy conditions when you cast the spell gives you control over the existing storm instead of creating a new one. So that's just like a cool little like RP aspect. Like if it's stormy out, it's like, oh, I have this great idea, and you move the clouds to your will, essentially. That's really cool.
And you get more damage.
You do get more damage under such conditions.
D10.
Yep,
an extra D10. Yeah, that's right.
So 4d10.
Not bad.
For 10 minutes.
For 10
minutes.
Just raining hell down like Zeus on people.
Yeah. Oh,
but visually, that's really cool. Like, you could see, like, a druid or a cleric on, like, a precipice, just like, oh, like when friggin' Saruman's, like, casting shit from his tower. And then fucking lightning is just bombarding this town or this army.
Do you know what really makes this powerful, though? The fact that it is a concentration spell that lasts 10 minutes. Because theoretically, with a range of 120 feet and a 60-foot sphere or a 60-foot radius area of effect, nobody's going to be targeting the druid who is casting this.
Yeah.
You know, like not in melee at least. Theoretically, you would have footmen in front of you and rangers in front of you who are defending this guy who is in the background just every round calling lightning down on people.
Yeah.
So, like target acquisition definitely changes because as a DM, if you were to put this guy at the back row with like a bunch of footmen and a bunch of archers and a bunch of other stuff like to like tackle before you get to him, potentially even the big bad, that can make for a really dynamic battlefield, which causes your players to constantly keep running every turn to get out of that sphere. as it's like chasing them around, sort of like a WoW raid, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool as hell. I like that.
It's almost like a cartoon.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the Benny Hill theme just starts playing as people are running around.
Yeah, and they're just being chased by like one storm cloud. Yeah, they're being chased by one storm cloud that's shooting lightning at their butts.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Good. Yeah, good choices. Good choices. And finally, we have Peter Vahala, who says, I absolutely adore sleep. It's one of my favorite spells. You could jump out and cast sleep whenever you want, and you could just make them pass out. Yeah, sleep is a super cool spell. That's
sleep is
absolutely
great.
inebriating spell.
It is a disgusting spell at first level.
Yeah.
In fact, this was actually on my list for most OP spells.
Yeah, this spell sends creatures into a magical slumber. Roll 5d8. The total is how many hit points of the creature this spell can affect. Creatures within 20 feet of a point you choose within range is affected in ascending order of their current hit points. Starting with the creature that has the lowest hit points, each creature affected by this spell falls unconscious until the spell ends.
Yeah, that was a mechanic that carried over from old school D&D, where like spells were only as effective as how many hit points you roll for that can be affected by it. I think sleep might be one of the only spells in 5th edition that still kind of carries over that old mechanic of rolling for how many hit points of creatures are affected.
Yeah, because you don't really see that a whole lot.
Yeah.
Not really.
It's pretty much just sleep, I think.
It might be.
I think so. And it's a first level spell that scales. You get an additional 2d8 for every spell slot above the first.
Yeah.
Which is huge, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, so essentially if you just roll high, if you just roll high, you could just, if you're fighting like a group of goblins or something, you just put them all to sleep at once.
Every single one, and yeah. Or if
that's crazy.
If you're like 9th level spell casting, you could put a Tarask to sleep.
Yeah, right? Could you imagine? Oh my god.
Nobody hit it. Nobody wake it up.
Nobody shake it.
Just walk away. Go into the treehouse.
Yeah, that's it. So thank you guys so much for all these submissions. This you guys had some great ones.
Yeah,
honestly.
thanks.
Yeah, really, really great options, and I loved seeing and hearing what other people use. This was a great awards ceremony.
Yeah, with that, that concludes the award ceremony, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, half the front row is dead.
Yeah, well, these things happen. It's sort of, I'm gonna date myself here, but it's kind of like one of those Gallagher shows, the crazy man with the mallet and the watermelon who would just like smash the fucking watermelon,
Yeah.
It's like that. The whole front row is just covered in char and burning and acid, which is fine.
Yeah, and we are going to be taking like suggestion notes and putting them in a box, for the next one. So we'll ask the crowd, and the ones that are actually like kind of dead in the front, we'll just speak with dead. We'll cast that real quick and see what they thought of the award ceremony.
Ooh,
yeah,
I love that spell. I could do that.
Yeah, it's a good spell. But yeah, all right, cool. Well, thank you guys so much for checking out the Crithalla Podcast. I hope you enjoyed. Here on the Crithalla Podcast, we do DMs Discuss, and we do also special episodes. We also have a YouTube page where we post the video version of that podcast that you are always listening to.
Check it out. It's hilarious.
It's hilarious. It's fantastic. We do top fives. We do storytime videos, and we also do reviews. So head over there and check us out. We also have a Facebook and a Twitter. We share daily D&D memes over there, and you can also get all of our information that you need over there from us, and to also be involved in future podcasts. I always post on the Facebook and the Twitter, so make sure you check that out when you get a chance. Stavi, do you have any plugs for this evening?
Only that we are slowly approaching the release date for all of the Kickstarter stuff that I've been backing over the last 2 years.
Yeah, man.
I keep mentioning this pretty much at the end of every podcast, but for those of you who are fans of like old school D&D, if you're more of like basic expert, like pre-advanced D&D, Necrotic Gnome has released a new old school essentials box set on Kickstarter, which was massively funded. I funded the most expensive one that I could get. And it's coming, I think, in the end of September or the beginning of October. It should be shipped to me. So we're going to be doing like a unboxing and a very, very first like impression of it. There's a lot of stuff. There's like modules and DM screens, and I think they were going to do the dice, but the dice didn't come. But that's going to be featured up on the Crithalla YouTube channel. We also have something that isn't technically D&D related, but if you guys are fans of Avatar: The Last Airbender, the same development team who did Root, I can't think of the company's name right now, I'll have to look it up, but they are making a tabletop... Magpie Games, that's right, thank you. I completely forgot it. They are doing a tabletop RPG of Avatar: The Last Airbender, which my girlfriend and I both love very, very much, and I'm really excited to take a look at that because it looks really, really interesting. It's kind of cool. We have some Dungeons and Dragons like independent magazines coming in that I'm going to be doing reviews on once they all come in. We're going to do like a flip through of all the pages and take a look at the art and stuff like that and give you my first impressions and stuff. And that's all going to be featured on the Crithalla YouTube channel. So be sure to check that out.
Absolutely. That's going to be some good content.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very excited for this stuff, man. I backed it like, I think February. I backed it in February. It's been a very long process of waiting for this to come out.
It'll come.
It'll come. And
It'll come.
Yeah. So that's it. That's all I got for plugs.
All right. Cool. Mike, I mean, again, we ask you every time.
Crap. I didn't sneak off the stage fast enough.
No, we're pulling the cane back, actually.
No.
Yes.
Okay. I'm here. I've actually have been working on writing some outlines for episodes for the series I want to do about horror in role-playing.
Oh.
So I've maybe analyzing different classic horror creatures, what makes them scary, how to utilize them to inflict the most terror, things like that. So I actually have been writing some of that stuff up. So that should be coming soon. Which again is a surprise to my fellow co-hosts that I've actually been writing something. And
I didn't even know.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And then I now have a toothless mimic friend. I'm going to call him Gumbo. So this is Gumbo.
Oh,
good old Gumbo.
And
I can't wait till the plushies start.
Good old Gumbo.
Up. When are we getting Gumbo plushies?
Gumbo plushies, crit cakes, the whole 9 yards. It's going to be great.
Yes.
And that's pretty much it for me. Probably more to come because I can't shut up sometimes. So more coming down the pipe. So tune in, everybody.
Absolutely. Make sure you stay tuned in for all these wonderful things that we're coming up with very, very soon.
Yes.
To the world famous Crithalla Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Well, not the ones dead in the front row, but everybody else that's here.
Yeah. And everyone gets up, applauds. Wonderful work.
Woo! All the spells that didn't get nominations.
Yeah. They're all walking off all upset.
Yeah. At least they got goodie bags.
Yeah, at least they got goodie bags.
Just a line of really sad scrolls.
Yeah.
Just walking down the front aisle. Like Schoolhouse Rocks, where they're all like a cartoon and they're sad, and it's like, I'm just a spell. I'm only a spell. And they're like walking out.
Anyway, I cast Fireball on this entire auditorium.
Yep, that's it.
All right, that's it. Just put like a giant explosion right here.
All right. Well, if anyone is actually still alive after that, thank you guys so much for checking out the Crithalla Podcast. My name is Old Skip Flack, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.